the biggest piece of human refuge, human trash, that it's ever been my displeasure to listen to is Dr. Phil. I listen closely to Phil. This is a real sycophant. This is a fool talking for Donald John Trump and making no sense in his hero worship of his God at Madison Square Garden. This Dr. Phil has to be the biggest phony I've ever heard. I never liked Phil. I thought Phil was a pompous bully. He calls others being a bully. Phil is a bully. Phil is a bully. And an incredible myopic individual. He postures. He poses. He's a two-bit phony in presentation. He is one despicable, horrible, hideous appearing individual who I would not take seriously about anything he says, psychologically, morally, ethically. Not one word Dr. Phil says. But the problem with Phil is he is a hypocrite because he poses, he acts one way, he makes you think he believes one way, he makes you believe what he's saying is being completely objective because allegedly I don't know anything about politics. And why the hell are you talking about politics, Phil? Why are you talking about something you don't know anything about, Phil? And he always says, not if I stand. Well, stand up, Phil. Stand up, Phil. I'm only 5'2.5", but I'll stand up right with you, Phil. If I was only in shape and Phil got out of line with me, he wouldn't know what's going to hit him next because I would jump on Phil. Dr. Phil is exactly the human lowlife that I stand totally against. He makes you think he's objective. He makes you think he's telling the truth when all the time he has an agenda, which is radical, right-wing, conservative. Nothing wrong with that. But there is something wrong with being a phony, a wheeler-dealer, a complete fraud like Dr. Phil is. Now, bottom line, I don't like this man. I don't like anything about Phil. I don't like the way he looks. I don't like the way he speaks. I don't like the way he carries himself. And if I had an opportunity, I would tell him so. Somebody has to take a Dr. Phil, a Mark Levin, or any of these activists, any of these rhetorical, persuasive speakers, and give them a taste of their own medicine. I'd say, Phil, look at yourself, Phil. No, Phil, look in the mirror, Phil, and tell me what you see in there when you look in there, Phil. Phil, I'll tell you what I see. Phil, I see an ugly man looking right back at me. I see a stupid man looking right back at me. And I see a fool talking to me right now. And here is the evidence and here is the argument to prove my case. Right at Phil. But all I'm trying to communicate right here is I don't like this individual. On principle alone.